All right, let's jump right into one of the most incredible moments in European history. We're talking about the crowning of an emperor who would literally change the map and the future of the entire continent.
So, on Christmas Day, in the year 800, a Frankish king was given this title, Emperor of the Romans, a title that, hadn't been heard in Western Europe for more than 300 years. It was a huge deal.
I mean, it's a stunning moment, right? So the big question is, how on earth did a king from a Germanic tribe pull this off? How did he manage to bring back an empire that was basically ancient history at that point?
To really get how this happened, we've got to go back to that very day. Let's set the scene for what was, honestly, a pretty dramatic event. A crown on Christmas.
Okay, so picture this. It's December 25th, 800. We're inside the old St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. King Charlemagne, the most powerful man in the West, is kneeling down, praying during Christmas Mass. And then, all of a sudden, Pope Leo III comes up to him with a golden crown, and in a move that supposedly caught even Charlemagne by surprise, he places it right on his head, just like that.
So why was this so shocking? So revolutionary? Well, to understand that, we need to zoom out and look at the world Charlemagne was living in. It was a continent that had no emperor.
See, after the Western Roman Empire collapsed, way back in 476, Europe just shattered. For hundreds of years, it was this chaotic mess of war and kingdoms. There was no one in charge, no unifying power. It was just a massive power vacuum waiting to be filled.
In this contrast is absolutely key. While the West was a mess, the Eastern Byzantine Empire over in Constantinople was doing just fine. They were thriving. And they saw themselves as the true Roman Empire. So to them, this new emperor in the West, he wasn't just some nobody, he was a pretender.
So who was this powerful figure who just shook up the world? Let's take a closer look at the man himself, Charles the Great.
Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, was pretty much the complete package for his time. He was the king of the Franks, a totally brilliant and relentless military commander, a surprisingly sharp diplomat, and yeah, the guy who built the largest European empire since the fall of Rome.
And you can see just how fast he rose to power. He got the throne in 768, and then spent the next few decades in almost non-stop military campaigns. By the year 800, he was in charge of this massive territory that covered modern-day France, Germany, and Italy. He wasn't just conquering, he was building something huge.
And here's the crucial part. His rule brought something that Europe hadn't really seen in centuries: stability. And with that stability came a cultural rebirth we now call the Carolingian Renaissance. It was this revival of learning, of art, of scholarship. He wasn't just a warlord, he was acting like a true civilization builder, which of course made him look a whole lot like those old Roman emperors.
But military power and a cultural revival, that alone doesn't make you an emperor. For that, Charlemagne needed a really powerful friend. And this brings us to one of the most important partnerships of the whole era, an alliance of power.
This alliance was, at its heart, a pretty simple deal. The papacy offered Charlemagne spiritual legitimacy, basically God's official stamp of approval on his rule. And in return, Charlemagne gave the pope what he desperately needed: soldiers and protection for the church and for the city of Rome itself.
And this whole relationship was put to the test in 799. Pope Leo III was literally attacked by his rivals in the streets of Rome. They accused him of all sorts of things and forced him to run for his life. And where did he run? You guessed it, straight to Charlemagne. Charlemagne marched his army down to Rome, put the Pope back in power, and proved once and for all that he was the protector of the church. The Pope owed him, big time.
And that massive debt, well, it would be paid back on Christmas Day, just 1 year later. But this coronation wasn't just a thank you gift. It was a calculated move, all about forging a brand new empire.
I mean, this coronation was a masterful piece of political theater. Just think about what it blended together. First, you've got Roman heritage, bringing back that powerful ancient title. Second, the Christian faith, getting the Pope's divine blessing, which made the whole thing holy. And third, Germanic kingship, fusing the Frankish warrior tradition with the authority of a Roman emperor. It was like creating a whole new identity for Europe.
And the legacy of this single event? Wow, it's just immense. It created the model of a Christian king that would dominate Europe for centuries. It tied the church and state together, for better or for worse. And of course, it laid the direct foundation for what would later be called the Holy Roman Empire.
And just how long did that foundation last? 1,006 years. The political powerhouse born on that Christmas Day in 800 wouldn't officially disappear until 1806 during the Napoleonic Wars. I mean, just think about that. That is an incredible lifespan.
So when we look back at that one moment, a single crown on a single day that changed everything, it leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. Was this the moment a new Europe was born? Or was it just the final, lingering ghost of an ancient one?